A divorcing dad.
It's a family dog that I bought.
The fact that you purchased the dog is totally irrelevant.
A defiant son.
He liked playing video games and staying at home with the dog. That was it. Didn't want to go anywhere.
You were clashing with your 17, 18-year-old son. Been there, done that.
A divided family.
I said, Nicholas, if you're choosing to not go to college.
I want the dog back.
And he said no.
Judge Judy.
Mr. Pitcher, this is your son and he's 18. This is what I gather from reading your papers. You and his mother have been separated for about 5 years, but never finally divorced. And your son has sort of moved freely between your house and his mother's house.
Yeah, we have shared custody, so.
So he moves easily
50.
between
Yeah.
both homes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the shared custody a court order, sir, or is it something that you've worked out with his mother?
It's a temporary court order.
And when was that put into effect?
In 2015.
And it's been working reasonably well?
Yes.
Now, did you stay in the marital home, or did your wife stay in the marital home?
We actually had properties in North Carolina and Florida and a couple businesses, so we put them all for sale, and we both moved to Florida.
Okay, so you now each have your own residences
Yes.
in Florida. How far away are they from each other?
Approximately 20 miles, about 10 miles is midway.
And is this your daughter?
Yes.
How old is she?
She's 14.
And do you also have shared custody of your daughter?
Yes. All of our kids. We have 5 children.
Okay. Now, this case involves a dog. It involves probably a lot more than a dog, but for me, I only have to deal with the dog. This dog's name is Luna.
Yes.
And when was Luna purchased?
About 3 years ago.
So the dog was purchased at about the time you went to Florida?
Yes.
And you have another dog?
Yes. We've actually had several dogs throughout the last 4 years.
How many?
Well, not counting that household, we've had 3.
In the last 5 years. And what happened to those dogs?
So the one was a German Shepherd, and she ended up getting cancer in her left paw, and it spread pretty quickly, and she ended up passing away. And then the third dog is a English Bulldog, which we have now.
And when was the English Bulldog purchased?
Approximately a year ago.
And that was purchased in your home?
Yes. So was Luna.
Now, what kind of a dog is Luna?
Husky.
And who was with you when you purchased Luna?
All the kids.
Now, when your son visited his mother, or the custody went to his mother, whatever, when he was with his mom, did Luna go with him?
Periodically, not all the time.
When you say periodically, would you say 50% of the time Luna
No.
went with him?
Much less.
Is that correct?
No, there was a period of time where she continuously went with me between him and my mother's house, but then starting back in January, he would refuse to let her go back and forth anymore.
Starting this past January.
Yes.
In January, she was with you.
January, she stayed with him
Until when?
until about February,
And where has the dog lived since February?
with me at my mother's house.
Is that correct, Mr. Pitcher, that Luna has lived with your son and his mother at his mother's house since February of this year?
That is correct, but there were stipulations.
I don't care what the stipulations are. I'm thinking about the actual physical presence of the dog in a house other than your house. Now, what other dogs are there in your mother's house?
We have a Canadian Pointer, and she was a rescue, pretty old. She's black and white as well.
So you have one other dog,
Yes.
and Luna.
Yes.
Now I'd like you to tell me the circumstances in February of Luna going to your wife's house with your son, because he has been living with his mother since February. Is that what I
Yes.
gather from here? February, March, April, May, June, July. We're now in August, so for almost 7 months.
So each of our kids have a chore at my house. And Nicholas's primary chore was to take care of the dogs. He also had to clean his room and do his laundry, which we ended up having to bring down. Because that was his chore, he became attached to that dog, kind of assumed it was his own. It's always been...
Don't tell me what his assumption
Well,
is.
he was requesting, as of January, we've always had, or since about December, we were having problems communicating because he didn't like following the rules. Part of the requirement of having the dog in the house up at his room was he had to clean up after the dog and watch the dog. I found the dog chewing on AA batteries, which could have been very dangerous. And so I agreed that he needed to, number one, find a therapist for him and I to go to, and we had
All right,
to...
you were clashing with your 17, 18-year-old son.
Exactly.
I got it.
Standard
I've
stuff.
been there, understand that, understand all that. You were clashing with
So-
your son, just like occasionally your daughter is going to clash with her mother.
Exactly.
That's what girls do with their mother, and that's what boys do with their father.